Okay, can you hear me now? Oh my goodness. Hopefully you can hear me now. All right. Well, thank you to those people who dropped that in the chat that they couldn't hear me. Hopefully you can hear me now. But anyway, let's go forward with the financial legacy conversation. Let's go forward with the financial legacy conversation. And it is this. What is financial legacy? What is financial legacy? Financial legacy is this: it is defined as a financial gift given by will, especially of money or other personal property. How else can a financial legacy be defined? It is something of value that is transmitted it is something of value that is transmitted or received from an ancestor or a predecessor or from the past, right? So that word legacy in and of itself, it comes from a Latin word and a Middle English word, which means deputy. It comes from a Latin word and a Middle English word, which means deputy. It means deputy. Hold on one second here. All right. Now, when you think about that word deputy and you think about your financial legacy, that deputy is one who is instructed or appointed to act in your stead. So, therefore, when we think of financial legacy, it is a form of deputizing future generations to carry on your vision. That's right. When you have a financial legacy, you are deputizing others to carry on your vision. Okay. So your beneficiaries that you have for your financial legacies, they are your deputies for your vision. They're like your powers of attorney, if you will, to carry out your vision. Okay. So your beneficiaries, they don't just simply inherit now those gifts and those assets that are in your financial legacy, but they are the ones that are now going to carry out your legacy. They're going to sustain it, and hopefully they will expand it. Okay. Financial legacies are passed on to the next generation in one of two ways: either directly or indirectly. Financial legacies are going to be passed on either directly or indirectly. Okay. When a financial legacy is passed on directly, that means that your beneficiaries inherit the assets that you pass on to them directly. So let me give you an example. If I had a house or if I owned a house outright, I could directly pass that house on to my beneficiaries. Okay. If I were to pass on that house indirectly, I would put that house in the trust, and then the house would get passed on to my beneficiaries by way of the trust. Okay. Your financial legacy can consist of assets that are either tangible assets or intangible assets. And here's where the conversation gets really interesting, because a lot of times we think of tangible assets of being money, being houses, being artwork, precious metals, whatever it is that we may own. And all of these have value, and all of these have worth that we pass on to our beneficiaries. But can I also tell you this? Intangible assets can be just as valuable. What are intangible assets? Intangible assets that make up your financial legacy include intellectual property. So let's just say I was a witty inventor and I had hundreds of patents. If I decided to pass those patents on to my beneficiaries, that is an intangible asset that I am passing on to them. That is of value. It is of value. Here's another intangible asset. So you may be from a family that really understood the stock market, and your father, your grandfather really taught you about the markets. Now maybe he didn't pass on an investment portfolio, but he passed on the wisdom so that you would know how to trade and do things in the stock market. That is another form of intangible assets. So when you think about financial legacies and you think about what they consist of, whether it's a tangible asset or an intangible one, they are both things of value that are passed on in that financial legacy. So you don't necessarily need $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion to pass on, but your financial legacy are is made up of those assets, those things that have value to you that you pass on to your future generations. Financial legacies are tied to individuals, they're tied to families, they're tied to trust and businesses and communities and organizations and all of that stuff, right? Or all of those organizations. They can even be tied to countries. When we think of the United States, we think of the United States as being this wealthy country that in and of itself could be considered a financial legacy. Can I tell you this about legacy as well? Financial legacy is predicated upon vision, and that vision is the power source for the financial legacy, and it is the sustaining power that your beneficiaries can benefit from so that they can carry out the legacy. Okay. Here's another way I want you to think about financial legacy as well. Financial legacy is not only predicated upon vision, but it is also a manifestation of your ability to influence. So you're using your wealth to influence future generations. Now, when we talk about that wealth, remember what I said, that the wealth is that thing of value, whether it's tangible or intangible. Now, when we think about legacy families, when we think about dynastic families, we think about families such as like the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts and the Waltons and the Bill Gates, the Jeff Bezos, the Kennedys. We think about big legacy families and dynastic families such as that. And they've had a huge impact on the world. Can I tell you on tonight that the same can be true for you and your family? You don't necessarily need billions and millions of dollars to have an impact. You can have an impact and you can have a financial legacy with you and your family, no matter where you start. I'm going to say this. We all have been sold a lie. Now, not everybody has bought into the lie, but we've been sold a lie that you have to be wealthy in order to have financial legacy. I am here to tell you on tonight that that is not necessarily the case. Financial legacy is an articulated thought and vision of your demonstrated desire to pass on wealth, which is value to your lineage. And the biggest threat to you and I establishing financial legacy is the belief that we can't do it or that we don't have one. I'm going to say that again. The biggest threat to us establishing financial legacy is the belief that we can't have one or that we don't have one. Our legacy is established when we begin stewarding the financial resources afforded to us. It is just that simple, okay? And that legacy, our financial legacies, they can be shaped, they can be molded, they can be crafted to accomplish whatever it is that we desire. I'm going to say this. My parents did me a great service in that they instilled in me growing up that I could be and do whatever I wanted to be. The same is true for your financial legacy. You can create the financial legacy that you want to create. It all just simply starts with you making a decision on how to do it and how impactful and influential you want that legacy to be. So I know even through my technical difficulties in my opening monologue, that you're now probably thinking, how do I establish financial legacy for my family and for the generations to come? I'm going to give you 5 steps, and then I'm going to talk to you through practically what my husband and I have done to establish financial legacy. And then we'll wrap up tonight's session. Okay. Here are the 5 steps to you establishing financial legacy for you and your family. The first thing is this: you must give yourself permission to own and accept the fact that financial legacy starts with you. So your financial legacy starts with the decision that you are going to have one and that you're going to build one. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is, now that you've made that decision, you need financial education. You need financial wisdom so that you can begin to imagine, and in many cases reimagine and shape what that financial legacy is going to look like for you and your families. Okay? Step number 3 is you need a legacy plan or strategy. What does that legacy plan and strategy consist of? The first thing is it consists of vision. You need a vision. If you want a financial legacy, you have to have vision. The second thing is, with your financial legacy, you need financial goals and steps that you will take in order to accomplish the vision. All right. And then the third element of your legacy plan or strategy is that you're going to need a roadmap on how you're going to build this financial legacy that you wish to provide for your family. It's going to need to be properly executed, and it will need to be properly funded. How do you do that? I'm glad you asked. By step number 4, you're going to need a team of professionals to help you with documenting and legalizing your legacy. You're going to need a team of professionals around you to help you with documenting and legalizing your legacy. So that means you may need to solicit the help of a financial coach or an advisor or some form of a financial planning professional. If you need one, I would be happy to service you in that arena. I'm giving myself a shameless plug, as I am a certified financial coach. Okay. What are some of the other professionals that you would need to help you with really executing and building out that financial legacy? You're going to need the help of investment professionals. You're going to need the help of legal professionals. You will also need the help of, excuse me, insurance professionals, and even tax professionals. What am I saying? I am saying, in this step number 4, and in building this team to help you to build your financial legacy, it's going to be important that you don't try to go the journey alone. So many of us do that. And oftentimes what happens is we get stuck. We get stuck in doing that. And I don't want you to get stuck. Step number 5 is you need to now steward that legacy. That means you need to fund your legacy. That means you need a form of cash flow. That means you need to manage the money that you have coming in. You need to care for that legacy now that you have established. You need to also set up, appoint, and communicate to your beneficiaries what that financial legacy is. Too often, especially in our communities, we don't talk enough about financial legacy, and then we don't communicate what that plan looks like. And so it leaves our loved ones to scavenge and try to hunt down and figure out what has been left to us by our loved ones that have gone on. And then the last piece of this step number 5 is you need to set up the proper legal documents, and you need to file them safely in order to legalize, and I'm going to say codify, what your financial legacy actually looks like. Okay? Financial legacy, it is about planning with the end in mind. And then you reverse engineer the steps back to where you are so that you can move forward. Okay. So I'm going to say this: everything that I like to talk about and I like to bring forward, I first want to be an example of it, meaning that I want to have either learned a lot about it and be practicing it. I want to be a practitioner of the things that I teach. And so I typically don't bring things forward unless I know about these things personally and have walked through some aspect of it. Okay. And so, over these next few minutes, I want to talk you through some practical things that my husband and I did after we filed bankruptcy to really establish our financial legacy. And I know you're probably thinking, what? You filed bankruptcy? I absolutely did. Over a decade ago, my husband and I had to file bankruptcy. We fell on hard times. It was a very hard time and period in our marriage, but in our lives. And it was that point. I thank God for that moment in us filing bankruptcy because it had it not been for the bankruptcy, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. Are we where our vision wants us to go? No, but at least we have the roadmap on how we're getting there, and we're always working towards that legacy and that vision that we have established and aligned together on. So, as I was talking about, what's that first step that we had to take? So, what we had to do after the bankruptcy, we had to begin the process and embark upon the journey of recognizing that we are parents and that we need to do a better job at providing for our children. Okay. And so we made a decision that we wanted to leave our kids not only tangible assets, but we wanted to leave them intangible assets. And one of the biggest intangible assets that we wanted to leave is that we wanted to provide for them the financial education. And I'm going to say it this way: the financial roots, if you will, so that our kids would not end up in financial bankruptcy like we did. And so when I talk about legacy, trust and believe legacy is not just in what you hand your kids, but it's about what you instill in them as well. And so our financial legacy, it started by making the decision that we wanted to leave our kids better off than what we started. And we wanted to be able to pay it forward for future generations. Okay. Now, some of you may not have children, and that's okay. But you have nieces, you have nephews. There may be spiritual children you have. There may be there may be adopted kids. We have a lot of adopted kids in our communities that we have. Whoever it is, and whatever organization that you want to establish a financial legacy for, make the decision to do that. That's the first step. And that was the first step we had to take. Now, once we made that decision and once we aligned what it was that we wanted to lead to our children, then our next step was we had to begin to get financial wisdom and education. So I had to educate myself on, okay, how are we going to build up our credit? Now that after we done filed bankruptcy more than a decade ago, I don't want y'all to feel like I'm fresh off the bankruptcy boat. I am not. But more than a decade ago, when we filed it, after we filed that bankruptcy, one of the first steps we had to take in now establishing this financial legacy, we had to get financial wisdom and education. Number one, how are we going to rebuild our credit? So now in rebuilding our credit, now we can reposition ourselves to now obtain those assets at a lower interest rate versus a higher interest rate. So we had to do some financial education in that arena. The other thing that we had to really work on we had to work on the discipline and the habits so that we wouldn't go back into the same situation that we went into before. And so we had to educate ourselves and really work on habits around smart money management. In particular, not getting into credit card debt. And so now, because of the financial education and because of the financial wisdom that we got over a decade ago, we're far more responsible with credit usage and managing debt than we were back then, more than a decade ago. Okay. And all of this is the financial legacy that we are passing on to our kids. Not that we want them to go back into bankruptcy, but that we want them to not have and exhibit and demonstrate the poor habits and behaviors that we once had. Okay. Step number 3 in our financial legacy journey, my husband and I, we had to sit down and map out the roadmap for our financial legacy. So we had to write down our vision. We had to align around that. We had to write down our financial goals. We wrote down short-term goals, intermediate goals, long-term goals. And in fact, just this past weekend, we revisited those goals. We're embarking upon that now. So in the months of November and December, we start talking about it. And really, sometimes we even talk about it as early as September, because we know it's going to be a continual conversation that we need to have, and we need to align around those things. Okay. So in that legacy roadmap journey and that legacy roadmap conversation, we established the vision, we established the goals, the financial goals, and then we got to figure out now the cash flow. What's the cash flow going to look like? What's our debt management strategy going to look like, so that we can put as much cash and as much physical dollars to our financial legacy roadmap? I know many people think of it like this. Oh my goodness, I don't want to plan a budget. I don't even want to talk about a budget. I don't want to talk about a spending plan. And so I'm with you, right? I understand how daunting that task can be. And so I want you to think about planning out your dollars, planning out your money, your cash flow in such a way that it is always contributing to your financial legacy. That's how I want you to think about it. Okay. But can I tell you, step number 3 is where most people get stuck. Step number 1 is not hard, making that decision, right? Step number 2, getting the financial education. That's not hard either. But step number 3 is hard, because that's where you've got to start putting in the hard work of planning and mapping out the vision, of planning and mapping out the financial goals, of planning and mapping out your cash flow and your debt management strategies. Those all incorporate responsibility and accountability. And this is the place, if you feel like you're in a position of getting stuck there, you need to get help, get some form of advice. I go back to this. If you feel like you're getting stuck and you're feeling like, hey, I don't know how I'm going to begin to even like plan a budget. I don't even know like what my cash flow situation even looks like, let alone a financial legacy plan. I want you to get a financial coach. That's your first step. Get a financial coach, because that financial coach is going to help you work through the mindset, the habits, and other things that will help you to get unstuck. Financial coaches, find yourself a certified one, someone that comes reasonable. Most of them will have a free consultation that you can talk to them, and they can walk you through their process. And you just need to make sure that their process aligns with something that you are comfortable with. Now, there's some of you out there, you may be a little bit more savvy, and you don't necessarily need to work through the mindset and the habits and stuff like that, because you've already built up those muscles. Then you can go ahead and get yourself a financial advisor so that you can continue to map out your legacy plan. Okay. Step number 4. So now my husband and I, we go through, we build up our legacy plan. Then what we had to do, we had to go and seek expert help. We had to seek licensed professionals to help us with the pieces of our legacy plan that, quite frankly, we're not experts at. Okay. I'm not an expert at everything. I love talking about finances. I'm a certified financial coach, but I don't know everything. And so some of the first people that we legitimately had to seek out, we sought a tax advisor. and a tax professional. That was important because for our cash flow and debt management strategy, in order for us to bring in more cash flow, we needed to get some help with our taxes. So that way we didn't owe Uncle Sam. And for many of you, you're making great money. You got to figure out how you're not going to pay Uncle Sam so much of that money. You can keep that in your financial legacy plan. Okay. Some of you may need to seek investment professionals to help you with 529 plans. That was a big one for us. We have kids that are heading into college. We have grown kids and we have kids that are heading into college. And so we needed to enlist the help of financial professionals to help us making sure that we had the most appropriate portfolio set up. We also had to seek the help of legal professionals to help us with the will, with the power of attorney, and these other medical directive documents that you need. And it's wise to have. You may also want to have insurance professionals that will help you to map out what your insurance strategy looks like. I would say that's one area that we are still pursuing today. What will our insurance look like for our family? Not that we don't have any, because we do, but we want to add to that as we add more assets to our financial legacy. Okay. And then the journey that we're on right now is really stewarding the legacy that we have set out to establish and to build. And so each year we sit down, we review our goals, we align on vision, we communicate that plan with our kids. We set up with our kids, hey, look, this is what the year is going to look like. This is what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. Can I give y'all a quick example of one of the biggest decisions that we made and the biggest leaps of faith that we made with our children? And at first, when we first said it, I thought it was going to be really difficult to do, but we've been doing this now for the last few years. So one of the things, we are so dedicated to making sure that we have something, not just intangible things that we pass on to our kids, but we want to pass on tangible things to our kids. And so we made a decision in order to fund our kids' 529 plans, and that's a college savings plan. We decided that we were going to stop buying them Christmas gifts every year. We decided this 3 years ago. We stopped buying the kids Christmas gifts every year. We decided we're going to spread that money out over 12 months, and we're going to put that money to 529 plans. And that is just one step that we took to establishing the financial legacy that we wanted to establish. Okay. So I'm going to say this. Building a financial legacy, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated. Start small, but start today, okay? And get the help that you need along the way. Now, believe it or not, I'm drawing this thing to a close. So for the month of December, and I am in no way trying to overshadow Christmas and the Christmas gift giving season, but I want to kind of change your mindset as to the types of gifts that you give during the Christmas holiday season. And I want to declare December the month of legacy gift giving. Legacy gift giving, things that you can give to your family and to friends that will help them to think about establishing legacy than just giving Christmas gifts. Sometimes ugly sweaters and things that they likely may not even like the day after or the month after or the year after anyway. Okay. So throughout the month of December, if you follow me on social media, I'll be dropping some of those legacy gift giving ideas. If you have questions about them, put your questions in the chat and I will answer those questions for you. So I want you to follow me throughout the month of December for some of those legacy gift giving ideas. Okay. If you are in need of financial coaching, I am here to help. I'm a certified financial coach. I have a link in the description for tonight's segment. Please, 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 if you're looking for a financial coach, the initial consultation is free. Hit that link and you can sign up based upon your availability. Next, in the month of January 24, each Saturday, I am hosting a 4-part series. There's 4 Saturdays in the month of January of 24. I'm hosting a 4-part course called Kingdom Wealth Builders. Thank you to those that have signed up already. You can sign up for that course in the link that's in the description as well. The same link that you can sign up for a free consultation, you can sign up for that course as well. We're going to be talking about building wealth for the kingdom in that 4-part course. You don't want to miss that. I tell you, there's going to be a lot of great stuff that I will share and that I will teach and give you a lot of nuggets for you to think about in terms of building wealth for the kingdom and for your families. And then lastly, I just want to thank you for watching tonight's session. I apologize that I had some technical difficulties to begin with. Your girl left the mute button on. I don't even know how that happened because it was supposed to automatically unmute after I played the intro. But I apologize for that technical difficulty. But thank you for those that hung in there with me on tonight and for watching tonight's session. Please don't hold it against me. I want you to come back for other Fiscal Friday sessions. And like I said, Lord willing, I hope to come back for many more Friday nights. Hopefully, I gave you something that was beneficial to you. Please like, share, and stay tuned. Like I said, for more legacy gift giving ideas, please stay tuned for more information on finances, on the economy, on just all things related to money and finances and fiscal responsibilities. And then if you have any topics that you'd like for me to discuss, why don't you drop them in the comments as well? I will be more than happy to begin to talk about those things that you want to hear about most and what you feel will be most beneficial to you. And lastly, thank you